Kickstarter Nation, welcome to your 4th and your Christmas update for Cold Steel Wardens role-playing in the Iron Age of Comics. As you can see, I've kind of ditched my comics wear for today's episode in light of the holiday. Whatever holiday you're celebrating, Christmas, Hanukkah, albeit over, enjoy it, spend some time with your friends and family, eat too much, revel too much, and go take a long nap. This time of year, I know all of us are well looking for a good excuse to relax and be with loved ones, so enjoy your holiday, please. Just to give you a brief update, we are 50% of the way there. We are in the sprint to the finish. We have just 2 weeks, or 1 week to go. Oof. And 50% to make. So if you haven't donated, I can't, beg, plead, or cry too much. Now is the time. And again, don't be afraid to spread the word to your friends. Take bounty on them. In fact, I'm lowering the amount of bounty you have to take to get that extra pledge bump. Now, if you bring in one pledge of $10 or more, you get the free tokens. If you bring in 3 rather than 5, you get your pledge reward bumped to the next tier. So please, please, please bring in those people. We need it. We're gonna need every ounce as we head towards the finish here. Today I wanted to take just a brief nostalgic kind of look back at some of the games that have really inspired me as I went ahead and designed Cold Steel Wardens. I have 3 that I picked out particularly. I don't want to take up too much time of your holiday here. I realize some of these videos have gone a little long. The first one being my first ever role-playing game, and that is Heroes Unlimited. You can see it's pretty beaten up. I got this exact book from my cousin Jason when I was in 5th grade. I eventually went ahead and got the revised version because, as you can see, this one's pretty beaten up. But this was my introduction to role-playing games. This was the first one that I had ever played, the first one that I'd ever run. And it does some things pretty well. It does, to a degree, street-level supers fairly well. When you start getting into higher levels, or when you start blending power levels, it gets into a mess. And, I mean, even the most diehard adherents of Kevin Siembita and the Palladium system have to agree that the rules are a train wreck. There's no way of getting around that. It's a set of rules from house-ruled 1st edition D&D with a Call of Cthulhu percentile sanity system and subsystems that don't make sense. And there are 4 different radio skills in this book, but not a single one for knowledge history or knowledge geography. This game was the first one that I used to replicate Cold Steel Wardens. I ran a game over at Wittenberg that it was essentially a Watchmen alternate universe in which the events of the graphic novel never happened, and vigilantism was continuing, though the Keene Act had banned it, and our heroes had stumbled across some nastiness. I didn't know what system to use, so I fell back on the nostalgic favorite, and it was a great game, except for this. And that's kind of what spurred me to start thinking that we needed a game that really put forward that era of comics. I mean, it's something everyone enjoys. Why not have a game to support that specifically? Alrighty, our second game, this one's had a good deal of influence on me as I've been writing mechanics and writing rules, and that is Savage Worlds by Pinnacle Entertainment. Actually, you can still see my wife has been nice enough that she's been running Hell on Earth for us on Friday nights, which is glorious. So yeah, my Hell on Earth character sheet's still tucked inside. Savage Worlds has a great following, as it should. It's a wonderfully versatile system. It does a lot of things really well. Any sort of high adventure, cinematic adventure system, it does beautifully. While I think that Realms of Cthulhu is a glorious book, I can't see myself ever really running it simply because Savage Worlds, because it does that pulp and adventure so well. It doesn't ring very well for me for a horror type game or even necessarily a heavy investigative type game. But this showed me, particularly through Deadlands, that you can do gimmicks very, very well, and they don't feel like gimmicks. If you blend your mechanics with the type of setting that you're trying to put forward, if you blend those two seamlessly together, people will enjoy it. And that's an aim that I had when I set out to write Cold Steel Wardens. I wanted to be able to do that same thing with the investigation, with the narrative control mechanics of the hero pool. I wanted to be able to push forward those type of elements in a way that blended mechanics and setting very, very nicely. Just as if you have poker playing mages in Deadlands, just as if you have your bennies and your fate points in Savage Worlds, you're going to have that type of blending in Cold Steel Wardens as well. Alrighty, and the last game that I'd like to talk about is Icons. Adamant Entertainment, Steve Kenson wrote, along with a couple other guys, Gareth Michael Skarka. I love this game. Many people do. It's quick, it's light, it's flexible, and it really emulates the kind of heroic, wacky team-up Silver Age extraordinarily well. You have power stunting, where the Flash could run in circles and create a tornado, something he normally wouldn't be able to do, and it does that extraordinarily well. This game, when it just came out, I was the first one to run it at the Origins Game Fair. I go to Origins and Gen Con every year. That's the benefit of being in the Dayton area. I can go to both. But I was the only one who ran it at Origins that year, and I got to spend some time talking with one of the creators about the system and how it worked. And it occurred to me at that point that if we can have a game that replicates that Silver Age feel that well, if we can have a game that does all the things that Icons does, we owe it to the gaming community to provide that same treasured mechanic, that same ability to the Iron Age, which has so many of the great comic storylines in it. And this tells me that it needs to be done. This tells me that it can be done. And so I took it upon myself to start writing Cold Steel Wardens the month after that Origins Game Fair where I ran this. Alright, so that about does it for this holiday update for the Cold Steel Wardens Kickstarter. Again, if you haven't pledged yet, you have 1 week. We can do this. Halfway to go. It's all downhill. I hope that you do pledge for us. And one last thing, a holiday treat for you. As I was doing some publicity over on the RPG site, I had mentioned the fact that my wife often cosplays as some DC characters. We have Birds of Prey is a big read in our house. We have Gail Simone and Chuck Dixon's almost entire run, and of course one of the responses I got was Pixar didn't happen. So of course I wanted to one up the people there. So in fact, Jules, if you could come on over. This is my wife, Jules, obviously dressed as Black Canary. So with that, happy holidays. Hope that you pledge here in our last week, and have a good game.